All right, good afternoon, good happy Friday afternoon, high schoolers. This is Mr. C of Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy. Welcome back. Welcome to the music class, and let's get things started off with the Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy jingle. And if you know it, sing along. Time for school, time for music, time to learn together. We can do it. Learning is fun with Mr. C. And learning is fun, guys. So let's get to it with learning. So we have two things. The I Am the Bread of Life is the name of the hymn that we're going to do first. Okay, that is before we actually get into the core lesson, which is the major scale. Okay, and there are many major scales. Okay, as you guys have seen through our accidental usage with learning the key signatures, there are many different scales that we go by in music. So I'm going to teach you guys about how you build the major scale, okay, what that looks like on paper, or basically how you would write it. Please make sure that you guys have a pencil handy, your manuscript paper, which is the blank music paper. Make sure you have that handy. Get ready to take notes, okay, as we always do, because this is music theory and composition. So have those things handy with you today. And also, I'd like to definitely just give some, some reminders. Okay, please. First of all, thank you. Thank you very much for supporting Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy YouTube channel by subscribing. Okay, for those who have subscribed, if you have not subscribed yet, please don't hesitate. Click the subscription button right now, and also hit the notifications bell, where you will, if you do that, you will be notified of the future lessons in advance, guys. So again, click subscribe and click the notifications button on the bottom there, and also become a member of Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy. Simply go onto patreon.com/Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy, where you will be able to have access to things like live Q&As, where I will be answering all types of musical questions, music teaching questions, whatever is on your mind. Okay, definitely that will be what the live Q&As are for those who are members. Okay, we'll get that benefit. Also, the open mic, holiday open mic, which I'm planning in December, so that we can have a virtual audience, and in front of that virtual audience, we'll be able to sing all kinds of Christmas songs, your favorite Christmas songs, okay, and just have a good time doing that. And also, for you homeschooling parents, I have videos that I have available for you guys. If you are a member, if you're a homeschooling parent and you are a member of Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy, you'll be able to have access to those videos where I teach fundamental teacher stuff, such as lesson planning and organizing your classroom, building routines and expectations and rules and things like that. Okay, all those things that are fundamental in teaching pedagogy, as well as teaching you how to teach music and adding that into your homeschool curriculum. Okay, so again, I mentioned about the hymn. I forgot to say, please have the words handy. If you don't know the words, okay, simply go onto Google search engine, just type in "I Am the Bread of Life" lyrics, okay, and automatically there should be a set of lyrics for that song popped up. Okay, so here we go. Let's get into some stretching, guys. Let's get into some stretching. Oh, and also I do want to give a shout out to all my people, all of my people who've been tuning in around the world as well, people from Ecuador and from other various places in South America, definitely my friends from the Philippines and from India, a couple of places from China and from Japan. You guys are so great, and I am so humbled that you guys decided to tune in and watch me. So and that's what it's about, just not watching me, of course, but just definitely learning music and see how they relate to the other core curriculum stuff like math and science and social studies. You know, I'm all about educating and enrichment, guys, and we can get that through music. So thank you once again for your support, guys. Let's get things started off. First, we're going to do some stretches before we start singing. Okay, this is again good for the vocal cords, and any of you high schoolers who have been in chorus, okay, have done this before. Okay, these stretches are very important. Everybody, let's do this first. We're going to take our two hands and we're going to start rubbing our cheeks in a circular motion. Okay, just kind of do this. Okay, this is what I tell my vocal students, just to get them warmed up, because yeah, might seem silly, right? but this actually very much helps when it comes to projection and tone. When we shape our cheek muscles, and it helps us to not be stiff over here. It gets the blood flowing, because blood courses everywhere through our bodies, right? Including these cheeks. So let's get that going, and everybody rotate, rub them in the other direction as well. Okay. All right. Everybody open up your mouth really wide like this. Okay, I know it's kind of silly, but it definitely helps. It's the movement of that jaw. Okay, you don't want to overextend. By the way, you don't want to hurt yourself there, but just open up as wide as you can without hurting yourself, just like that. Okay, and there we go. Okay, let's go right into stretching really up high. Make sure your posture is good if you're sitting, or whether you're sitting or standing. Make sure your posture is good. Your back is straight. Your shoulders are relaxed, and then reach up to the sky as high as you can. And let them drop, and rotate these shoulders. There we go. Rotate them towards the back there. And let's rotate them forward. All right. Okay, and everybody, let's turn our necks in a circle just very slowly. Don't go too fast. All right. Feel that massage. Okay, and everybody rotate them in the other direction. Yeah, you wouldn't think that music is physical, but yes, it can be. All right. We always want to keep our bodies in good shape. You know, we want to be limber, because everything that we do is with our bodies, especially when it comes to our voices. Our voices are part of our bodies, so this definitely helps. Everybody look all the way up and look all the way down. Look all the way to your right. Look all the way to your left. And shrug the shoulders and hold it. And drop the shoulders. And take a deep breath in through your nose. And out your mouth. One more deep breath in. And deep breath out. All right, here we go. Shake out those hands a little bit. There we go. And let's get things started. So the song is called the hymn is called I Am the Bread of Life. Okay. And again, the reason I like to do hymnals before we start, just kind of a sing along, okay, is because it's the praise and worship of God. You know, we thank God for him allowing us to be here and be able to create music, to do everything that we're able to, whatever our talents are. Okay, we praise God through this, and it gets us definitely in the right mindset before we do anything, whether we're learning or creating or doing a job, whatever. Okay, and what is that mindset? I am the bread of life. It's like God is talking to us in this particular song. If you look at those lyrics very carefully, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall not hunger. He who believes in me shall not thirst. No one can come to me unless the Father beckons. Okay, this is Christ talking to us, right? And then in the refrain there, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up. That's twice. A third time, and I will raise you up on the last day. Okay, so basically, this is how he's talking to his people, okay, those who are saved by him. You know, everything that we do, and we're definitely going to get into this in later lessons, high schoolers, because we're composing music and we're learning the techniques and the symbols, everything that comes with music. But at the same time, music has meaning, okay, and you'll see how sounds, pitch, melody, all of that stuff has a deep connection into the lyrics, okay, especially if we sing a song. So all of those things go very much hand in hand, and so we want to do everything with meaning, okay? Music without meaning is not really music at all. Let's put it that way. At least that's how I personally feel, okay? But we should always do things with meaning. And really, honestly, there is a meaning to everything. So let that meaning be praising and worshiping God, okay? But let's do this, okay? Hope you have those lyrics handy. I am the bread of life, okay? And let's get it started. Sing along. If you don't know it, again, follow the lyrics. Some of you might already know this song. So either way, let's sing together and let's praise God and thank him, okay, for him being the bread of life, for him being our sustainment, okay, in this life. So here we go. I Am the Bread of Life by Suzanne Tulin. I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall not hunger. He who believes in me shall not thirst. No one can come to me unless the Father beckons, and I will raise you and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day. The bread that I will give is my flesh for the life of the world. And if you eat of this bread, you shall live forever. You shall live forever. And I will raise you up, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day. Unless you eat of the flesh of the Son of Man and drink of his blood, and drink of his blood, you shall not have life within you. And I will raise you up, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day. I am the resurrection. I am the life. If you believe in me, even though you die, you shall live forever. And I will raise you up, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day. Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who has come into the world. And I will raise you up, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day. And I will raise you up, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day. All right, guys. So that was, again, I Am the Bread of Life by Suzanne Tulin. Okay. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and hopefully your minds are in the right place, guys. That's the idea, to get our minds definitely in the right place. So let's get into the core of our lesson, shall we? Here we go. It's about the major scale, the major scale. So let's tilt this camera. Get your pencils and manuscript paper ready, or whatever really you have in order to keep these notes. Okay. Be inventive, be creative. There was some time ago where I did talk about just, writing up or drawing your own staff lines, okay, on a blank piece of paper, that you could do that, just so that you remember there are in a musical staff, there are 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 spaces within 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So if you think of it that way, you should be able to write in and make lots of copies of the musical staff. Okay. But let's get into the major scale. Now, what is the major scale exactly? Major scale is basically, normally, if you're familiar with the solfege, okay, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, so the solfege, okay, typically is sung that way. Okay, and that was the major scale. Okay, that's the major scale. It goes, and I'll write this down. It goes from the low do. Okay, let me rewrite low. I don't know why I put L-O, but L-O, L-O-W, the low do to the high do. okay, to the high do, okay, from low do to high do. So that's kind of what I, within that scale, okay, you had re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, okay, but you have low do, do, it starts on a low do, whichever note you're in, depending on whatever letter name it is, okay, and you know that the music has letter names from A through G, right, and it goes in different octaves. Let me write that word down, okay, octaves. Okay, the octaves are basically notes that are 8 steps apart. Okay, 8 steps apart. All right. So what do I mean? From low do to high do, do, do. Okay. Notice that they're this. We still call them low do and high do, right? So they have the same syllable, if you will. Do, do. Okay. They're literally 8 notes or 8 steps apart from each other. Okay. That's the interval between the two. And within that, you have all of these notes. Okay, all part of the major scale, and they go in a particular order. Okay, within those 2 do's, by the way. Okay, within those 2 do's, there are other notes. Okay, other notes and half steps, but that is not that will be excluded from the major scale, because it has to have the major scale has to have a particular pitch quality. Okay, or a melody pattern, if you will, of this. Okay, do re mi fa sol la ti do. Okay, and then one can even go backwards. Ti la sol fa mi re do. Okay, so that's my point. But how does that look on paper? That is the question. Okay, so right now what I was playing there was in the key of C. Okay, that would be this known as the C scale. Okay, so I'm gonna write this up here. Actually, yeah, I'll write it down here better. Okay, C. This is the C scale. Okay, so that's the C scale. Okay, and in the C scale, you start on the C, on middle C, in fact. So we're going to use whole notes, okay? And I want you guys to write this down. Make sure you have a treble clef ready. Make sure you draw that treble clef. And if you're not exactly sure how to write a treble clef, I did teach it on a previous video, okay? One of the first videos I have was learning how to write or draw, in this case, a treble clef, okay? But make sure you have that treble clef ready, and we're going to write all of this down. This is the middle C, okay? So here we go. We got middle C, and then right after that, we have D in the space below the treble clef. Then we have E, F, G, A, B, and high C, okay? So in a sense, what we're looking at in the C scale, the C is the root. The C, the letter C note is the root of this particular major scale. It's the root because why? It is named the C scale. So it has to start on C and even end on C, okay? That is how that goes. So in a sense, this C is your low do and the high C is your high do. They serve as your do. Okay, and in between that, you have re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Okay, 2 do's in between, one being lower than the other, and they are literally an octave. That's 8 steps apart. Okay, from low do to high do. All right, but in a sense of letter names, because that's what we really want to focus on, not so much the solfege, but the letter names of them. Okay, you have again C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and high C. Okay? There is your major scale. Pretty simple enough, right? Pretty simple enough. Yeah, from each step, okay, they're just all the standard letter names. But what happens when we get into a different key, okay? Notice last time, past couple of weeks, we went over key signatures, which would include different scales, different letter scales. So there was the key of D, and we had the key of F sharp, and okay. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that when we're in a different key, they also follow a particular major scale from that different key. Okay, so if we're in the key of E, right? If we happen to be in the key of E, guess what? The root or the first do is actually going to be E, because it would be known as the E major scale, okay? Let me see, I wrote C scale. I want to make a correction on that. I don't want you to think of it as just the C scale, okay? We want to be very clear. We want to be very clear that this is the C major scale, okay? So that's the C, this is the C major scale because the root of it is the C, right? And this, by the way, this is a ledger line, okay, that's running right through the note, way below the treble clef staff. So make sure you have that little line right through that note, okay? It's the lowest note. It's the lowest note we're dealing with at the moment, okay? So there's middle C, and known as middle C because it's actually literally in the middle of the piano. It's the very mid note between the very lower ranges and the higher ranges, okay? And if you haven't guessed, yes, I'm playing my keyboard piano that where you can't see it. In fact, you could take a look at it right now. There it is. Yeah, that's what I'm playing, okay? But for the most part, let's get our focus right over here. But in any event, middle C is the very middle of the two ranges between very low ranges and very high ranges, okay? But in any event, this would be the C major scale. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the thing. On the piano, if we were playing this on the piano, okay, just like I did before, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? There is an order. There is a distance between the notes that one must think about when we are writing the scale, okay? So the idea is we want to look at it as this way. From C to D, okay, especially on the piano, is known as a whole, let me put it this way. There are going to be whole steps and some half steps, okay, between the notes. In between the notes, some whole steps and some half steps, okay? From C to D would be known as a whole step, so I'm going to write a W, okay? Actually, I'm going to use this black marker. Too much blue. Too much blue. I'm going to use a black marker for this. So from C to D is a whole step. I'm going to write a W, okay? Okay, so from C to D, whole step. W signifying a whole step, okay? And then from D to E is going to be another whole step, okay? W, right? Then from E to F, it's actually going to write an H to signify the half step. There's a half step motion between E and F, okay? There's a half a step, so it's whole, half, okay? Then from F to G, it's going to be another whole step, back to whole stepping, right? F to G is a whole step. From G to A, another whole step. From A to B, another whole step. And from B to C, half step, okay? It'll be a half a step between those particular two notes, between B and C and between E and F, okay? Please write this down. Make sure you have this, okay? And this is very important because it'll apply when it comes to the piano. If you and that's something that we'll actually look more into when in our future lessons, okay? But know that from C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step, but then E to E goes to a half step motion. Then from F to G, whole step, G to A, whole step, A to B, whole step, B to C, whole step. Now, why? How do we know this without really looking at the piano? Because that's not what I'm doing. I'm not showing you the piano per se between the steps. Because literally, when we say whole step, right? When we refer to whole steps, for instance, from C to D, there's actually a note, a black key. If you've seen the piano, you have black and white keys. Between the notes C and D, which happens to be two white notes, okay, from C, here's D. Between C and D, there's actually a black key in the middle of them. So here's C, here would be the black key between D and C, okay, whereas C to D, it sounds like this, okay, and that is an entire, a whole step, okay. From C to D is a whole step, okay, which would make sense in those pitches when we're singing do, re, and then and so on, mi, okay. But from C to D, there is a note in between the two, okay. But we want to skip over that note that's in between the two and go right to D instead of what would be the half step really would be a C to a C sharp or D flat. Okay, I know that's a lot. Okay, but trust me when I say again, from C to D is a whole step. Okay, now from D to E has to be another what? Whole step, which means that there is a note between between D and E. There is a note in between that, but we're skipping over that because it's not part of the major scale. In order for the major scale for there to be an actual major scale, there has to be a certain quality of pitches to follow that scale. So again, D to E, there is a note in between, so we skip over that half a step and go right to the E, making it a whole step. Okay, but then from E to F. So from E to F, okay, there I put that there's a half a step. Want to know why? Because there is no key in between. There is no note in between those two notes, E and F. Okay, there is no black key to play in between. That's the two notes that have nothing in between. So that is known as a half step. And let's put it in this way. Let's actually put it in this way. If again, going back to C and D, let's go back to that. So C and D has a particular quality. Okay, it was just known, which is known as an interval of a major second. Do, re, la, si, D. Okay, half a step actually sounds more like this. Okay, it sounds just like that. So there is a difference in the interval. It's really known as a minor second. Okay, but from C to D is a whole step, which makes it a major second. And then from D to E would be another major second because it's a whole step. If it was a half a step, it would sound more like this with that note in between the two. Okay, notice the quality. Okay, but really we need to, for it to be a major scale, it needs to go from D. Okay, yet however from E to F is a half a step. It's actually a minor second there, a minor movement there. Much like the other notes that we were playing before. That would be a half a step, okay? But not between D and E flat. Okay, but we're not using a flat in the C major scale. We're using E, the E natural. Okay, so notice it's a bigger gap. Okay, but from E to F, very half step. It sounds like a half step motion, and it really literally is, because on the piano there is no key in between the two. Okay, so in fact, I challenge you to go onto your keyboard and take a look at some of the notes where you'll see some have black notes in between the white keys and some won't. Okay, some will literally have nothing in between the two. Okay, so that's how you know that that's really like a half step motion. Okay, so continuing on, right? Then from F to G is a whole step. And then from G to A, whole step. W, right? Whole step. And then from A to B, whole step. Okay, but then from B to C, there is no black key in between B and C, so it's going to follow that half step motion. Okay. All right, that's the idea. So there are little certain steps in order for that to be the actual major scale. Okay, let me just check my time a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go right into a different key. All right, so I'm going to take, let's go. Hopefully you got this down. Okay, because I'm going to erase this. And I'm going to put on a different key. In fact, I'm going to go right to the key of F, okay? We'll go right to the key of F. So let's erase all of this. Now, if you recall from our previous lessons, if we are in the F major scale, now I'm going to write F major scale, okay? Then you know that we have a flat sign on the B line, okay? We have a flat sign right there, which would signify that there's a B flat okay? But it's still the F major scale. Why? Because from that line, okay, according to our previous lesson, we count 4 steps down from that B line, 1 to, and then to the space 2, line 3, space 4. That's 4 steps down. We're in the F space, which makes this the F major scale. We would be in the key of F, okay, or in the key of F major. But we're doing the scale, right? So we're going to start here. This is our F, right? Our bottom line F. And we have G. Write all this down, by the way. A, B flat, C, D, E, and then F, okay? Let's write those letter names down. Okay, so we have again F, G, A, B flat, and we say B flat because again, that key signature tells us we're in the key of F, and in the key of F, there's a flat on that B line, which means every note that's played as a B is really a B flat, okay? Which is half a step lower than the B natural, okay? So we have our C, our D, E, and then our F, okay? So there we go from low do, low F, to high do, high F, okay? It's an octave apart, 8 steps apart. Okay, and I'm gonna try to play. I'm not gonna try to sing that high F. It's way too high for me. Okay, but that's how that sounds. And in between, you have all of this. Okay, so let's go over our formula for writing the scale. Okay, remembering that there is a formula. So from F to G. Okay, looking back at what you wrote on the C scale, how much of a step? Is it a whole step or a half step? You got it. It's all whole step. So there's a W. So write a W where we bracket the F to G. That is a whole step. Okay. Then from G to A, another whole step. From A to B flat, however, A to B flat sounds like this. Remember, we've kind of explored that half step motion as opposed to that would be a whole step if this was B natural, okay? But in the major scale, in the F major scale, it must be a half a step. Okay, so we mentioned that should be an H for half a step. Between A and B flat is a half a step. We bracket again from B flat to C, that's going to be a whole step. From C to D, another whole step. From D to E, another whole step, and then from E to F, half step. Okay, we even said that before in the C major scale, right? In the lower part, we had an E to F, no black key in between. Okay, from E to F up here would be okay. T to do. It's actually in the solfege from T to do. Okay, so that is a half a step. So ultimately, what we want to take away from this is the step motion between the notes as we go up the major scale. Think of it this way and repeat this after me. Whole, half, whole, half. Think of it as that way. When I was in school, my music theory teacher would always tell me to repeat it just like that. Just say it like that in order to make sure that we are writing and building the scale, okay, in the proper step motions. So again, that formula, I think of it as a formula, okay, for writing scales. Whole, half, whole, half. That is the step motion. Everybody say that again with me. Whole, half, whole, half. 2 wholes and a half, 3 wholes, and then the last step, a half a step, okay? All right, so if you think of it that way and recite it and say it like that all the time, you can build any major scale in no matter what key it's in, okay? No matter what key it's in. I'm going to do one more example, which is I'm going to use the 1 sharp, which is in the key of G, okay? So I'm going to change the key signature and the scale completely, all right? With the 1 sharp being on the F sharp line, okay, on the F line. And I'm going to erase all of this. Hopefully you got that, guys. But don't worry, I'm doing another example, really. So it follows basically the same principle of the formula whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay? So let me fill in that line over here. Got to be very detailed. Okay, so now we're going into the G major scale. This is the G major scale, okay, which utilizes the 1 sharp on the F line, okay, meaning that in the key of G, for the G major scale, F is sharp, okay, right? Every good boy does fine. That is our F sharp. So if we build the scale from there, here it goes. We start on the G line, every good, right? We'll start with the second G right here. Here's the G major scale. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then G on the top space. And how do we know it's the G major scale, by the way? When you look at the only sharp that's there, you have to go from there up one step, and it leads us to the top space above the treble clef, which is the G. F, F, G, okay? So let's put in our letter names, by the way. So we have, again, G, A, B, that's B natural now. We're going away from not the key of F, but we're in the key of G. So B is natural there. There is no sharp or flat on there. C, D, E, F sharp, okay, right? That F line, F sharp, okay, and G, okay? How do we know that this is true? Well, we look at it again as step motion. What was that formula again? Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, okay, right? So let's bracket it. Let's bracket this. From G to A is a whole step. From A to B, another whole step, whole, whole. And then from B to C, what step would that be? From B to C, you got it, half a step, right? So write an H, okay? Then from C to D, back to whole, right? How many whole steps are we going to do now from there? 3 more whole steps, right? So we got whole, from D to E, whole, from E to F, whole, and now from, not E to F, but E to F sharp, right? Let's get that right. Let's make sure we know that that's an F sharp, not a regular F, okay? Which is a half a step, by the way, above a regular F. So this would be F. F sharp sounds like this. It's from F to F sharp is a half a step. Yeah. Okay, but that's our F sharp, our F sharp, as opposed to a regular F, which is just, again, F sharp is a half a step above regular F. And then from F sharp, we have, what was that again? It's whole, whole, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step. F sharp to G would be a half step. Okay, again, using that formula, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay, and there you would have your G scale. Okay, going over this major scale really helps us to understand the key signatures a little bit better, okay, and why certain things are the way they are, okay. And when we understand that, we can definitely be able to compose our own songs, write our own songs, or understand what we're reading there so that we can know what to do. So to speak, we're doing this preemptive strike, okay, of learning the key signatures and learning how it builds into a scale from the low G to the high G, from low A to high A, from low F sharp to high F sharp, okay, from low B flat to high B flat, okay. All of those, if we know the major scale very well, we can virtually write a lot of songs, okay. And that, again, is very necessary because these key signatures are always going to be at the beginning of a song, okay, so that we know what we're looking at before we practice it, before we play it, or just before we write a particular song. Oh, I want my song to be in the key of G. Okay, then I got to know my scale. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Okay, how do I know that? Because I took the steps. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And I ascended. I went up the staff to make sure I know what the scales are. What if we know what's in the scale, we'll be able to play anything. And if you notice other thing, okay, notice that with the F sharp and even in the B flat, when we did our F major scale, I didn't write a flat or sharp symbol next to the note. I didn't do that. And the reason why is because in the key signature, they already have the sharp or flat symbol in the very beginning. They have that there to let us know that whatever, and look, for the key of G, if F is sharp, right? Isn't there another F on the staff? There's another F like right here, right? There's another F. If in the song we were in the key of G and we happen to see this note, okay, in the form of a whole note, a quarter note, a half note, any kind of note, 16th notes, whatever. If we happen to see that note in this bottom space, would we play it as a regular F? No, because our key signature tells us that in the key of G, F is sharp. So we would play this note because of the key signature. We don't need any extra, I don't need to put a sharp symbol there next to the note. Why? Because the key signature already told us. So if we're in the key of G, we play this note as F sharp. We also play this note on the top line as F sharp, because the key signature is already warning us. If we're playing that, we're playing this song in that key, make sure your Fs are always F sharp, not regular F. Okay? All right, guys, we'll go further on this. That is really it when it comes to our lesson, guys. We're gonna go over this further, all right, in the next lesson, where we're gonna use some other different keys as an example of doing a major scale. Plus, there are other scales, guys. There's the minor scale. There's a pentatonic scale. There's a lot of other different scales that can be used. And why do we have scales? Why do we have those different scales? Because those scales actually help us to formulate melodies from. They're kind of almost like your rudiments in drumming, you know, not really drilled so much as they're used, okay, to form different kinds of melodies in a song that might skip notes or skip steps and things like that, okay, but follows a particular format, okay, and all these different scales have been used in different songs, and they would be snuck in there, okay. But again, it allows us to have a really good understanding of melody when we're trying to build that melody in an original composition, okay. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got everything down. We will definitely, again, go over this further, okay, and practice it. Put it into practice. I even challenge you guys to pick another note. Try the key of A, or try the key of D, you know, in the space below the treble clef staff. Try the key of B flat. Try any key and follow the formula of whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And you will get the right accidentals for the right notes right where you're supposed to be, okay? Yeah, explore that. I challenge you to do that. And guys, thank you very much. Once again, please hit the subscribe button, okay? Thank you for all those who have been supporting me. I appreciate that. Yeah, and like and share these videos as well. Like and share the videos. Spread the word. Mr. C is teaching free music classes every week, Monday through Friday. Okay, if you're not sure of the schedule, you can always go onto my Facebook if you have Facebook. Okay, I have a Facebook page, Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy Facebook page, where the schedule for Monday through Friday is there. Okay, at the 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Okay, usually Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays. However, on Tuesdays, it's a different schedule for our seniors. I have a seniors music session from 1:15 to 1:45, and then on the same day, from 2 o'clock to 2:30 is our special needs friends, and that's all American Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so thank you once again, everybody, for joining me. I will see you in the next class. All right, and as I always tell all of my students, I wish you happy practicing. Everybody, take care. Have a good one, and God bless you.